sure they tried their best, but nobody could handle it. There were a lot of people.
A moment of happiness turning into tragedy. Sidramaya sir, what would you like to say to the families? 11 people.
Good evening. The frenzied celebration in Bengaluru over the RCB winning the IPL after 18 long years took a tragic turn, with at least 11 people feared dead in stampedes at 2 locations. The chaos began after a crowd gathered near the M Chinnaswamy Stadium for a felicitation of the team held by the Karnataka State Cricket Association. 2 of the 11 people who died during another frenzied crush on the premises of the Vidhan Saudha, where the RCB squad proceeded from the airport to meet Chief Minister Siddaramaiah. Visuals showed the police shifting injured and unconscious people to a nearby hospital. Many people who came to watch the celebrations fainted amidst the stampede. This is what eyewitnesses are saying. The Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar has said the crowd was uncontrollable. I apologize for the overcrowding. That's what Mr. Shivkumar said. We arranged more than 5,000 personnel. This is a young, vibrant crowd. We cannot use the lathi on them. Let's just take a look at this report before we go across to our correspondents who've been non-stop tracking every aspect of this tragedy.
Dream run that turned into a nightmare within minutes. Lakhs lined up Bengaluru streets to welcome the heroes, Team RCB. A day that started with euphoria turned into screams of death pain. A stampede, uncontrolled, unexpected, unforgivable. At least 11 lives lost. The official victory parade was called off in view of the crowds, but lakhs of fans still showed up. No crowd control, no barricades, no plan.
ज़्यादा भीड़ था, रश था, सब तरफ आदमी चढ़ रहे थे एक दूसरे के ऊपर। तो पुलिस ने फिर भी काफ़ी अच्छा काम किया, पर संभाला, फिर भी भीड़ कंट्रोल नहीं हो पा रहे थे। To be honest, we couldn't even get into the stadium because the crowd was so much. Police were around, but I'm pretty sure even they couldn't handle it. There were a lot of people. Pretty sure they tried their best.
We are not sure as of now. Yeah. I mean, anyway, we tried there, but we couldn't go, even though we had passes.
I'm sure we couldn't do much.
Just minutes later, even as families waited to identify the dead, the felicitation ceremony went on. The stage lit up, players posed, grief and death outside, celebrations inside.
The capacity of the stadium is only 35,000, but 2 to 3 lakh people have come to participate in the celebration. I ordered magisterial inquiry and I given 15 days time.
Opposition BJP was quick to question the government's haste in holding the event.
I demand Chief Minister to take up the responsibility and he should refer the matter for the judicial inquiry.
Bengaluru should have been celebrating. Instead, the city is mourning. RCB homecoming bled red with another stampede shaming the nation. With Deepak Bopanna, TM Veeraraghav and Haripriya, Bureau Report by Malvika Murli.
Well, let's go straight across to NDTV's Veeraraghav, who joins us at this stage. Veeraraghav, and I'm also joined by Deepak, but Veeraraghav, how many people at this juncture do we know have lost their lives and how many people are injured? 11 is the last count. Is that what still remains the case?
Yes, that's the official number at the moment. Deepak is outside at the hospital in case he has an update. But for the moment, the last official number that we've heard is that 11. Of course, over 40 people were injured, not all very seriously. Most of them out. Some still have injuries, but 11, Vishnu, is the number given by the government at the moment to us.
Veera, do we have any idea of the condition of the of those who are injured? Are there those who are also critical among the 40 who are injured?
Well, I think Deepak Bupanna is at the hospital tracking that bit, Vishnu. He
All
will
right.
have
Hold
further
on, Veera. I'm
updates
going
on
to put
it,
that
but from-
across.
Given a
put that across to
stampede kind
Deepak.
of situation,
Yeah.
usually...
Just hang on, Veera. I'm coming back to you. I'll put that across to Deepak.
No, when
Deepak,
you-
40 injuries. How many among these 40 are in critical condition?
That seems to be the only good news that has come in the last couple of hours, that those who are admitted with injuries are out of danger. This is something that I got a confirmation from when I came to the hospital, Vishnu, a little while ago. I spoke to the doctor. The Chief Minister in his press conference reiterated that right now those who are injured are out of danger. Now the count is being said is around 47, but let me tell you that the count is much more, because many people didn't report themselves to the hospital. Many of them complained of pain in the chest. Some of them have a sprain, some of them a fracture, and they left to towards their homes, tried to at least, because there was a very bad situation as far as public transport is concerned. From about 4:15, I'm told that the gates of the Vidhan Sauda metro station, Cubbon Park metro station, MG Road metro station all closed. There was a frenzy even inside the metro station, overcrowding that happened. People even for the last 15 minutes were trying to get home because they were not getting cabs, there were no buses. The families who are inside the Vaidehi hospital as we speak, completely distraught, and I was trying to of course speak to several of them, but they do not want to come on record at this point in time, because it has been a very emotional moment. In fact, the Deputy Chief Minister was expected a little while earlier. The DC of Bengaluru, now I'm told, here he has just visited and left from the hospital. We'll try and get in a word. The regional channels right now, of course, trying to speak to him. But overall, it hasn't been great news really for the last 4 to 5 hours. There's politics that has seeped into it as well, with the BJP saying, was there a need to have two separate events at two different locations? The police, meanwhile, from morning we've been reporting this. There was a lot of confusion about, how there was no clarity whether there will be an open bus parade. But even then, a bus meant for this was brought to the Vidhan Sauda. The police were also dilly-dallying about this decision, whether there's going to be a parade or not. Many people said there wasn't enough security considering the amount of crowd that turned up. The Chief Minister himself admitted to this, saying that we didn't expect the number of people who actually came to turn up. This is being countered by the BJP by saying what happened to the intelligence of the state government. Now, if the Chief Minister, of course, is going to argue that they didn't expect this crowd, one thing that pertinently needs to be asked here, the stadium capacity is about 35,000. On a match day, when there are fixed amount of tickets that are sold, that would mean there are 35,000 odd tickets that are sold. Usually you have 5 to 10,000 people more that turn up. So on a day like this, you would easily assume that number would be massive. And there have been television channels reporting on these numbers, the crowds from as early as 1 p.m., especially around the Chinnaswamy itself. So there should have been more, police. The reserve police should have been there in larger numbers. This could have been done. If they didn't have time to do this, was this celebration at the cost of these lives necessary is the question that comes up.
We're also joined by our correspondent Haripriya. Haripriya, where exactly are you? And can you give us a sense, Haripriya, of what you've been seeing and reporting in the last several hours? Haripriya, go ahead.
Boring Hospital's mortuary. I'm here at the Boring Hospital's mortuary, where people were brought in after the stampede happened. As far as we know right now, there are about 14 to 15 cases that have been admitted here, people who are injured and are under observation, and about 7 people are declared dead. I spoke to multiple people here, also spoke to someone who lost his niece, who was just about to enter 10th standard. People are in heavy despair here. It's just shock, and it's just that they regret coming out here. I also have someone here with me whose friend is injured. I'll just get him to talk to us and tell us what happened there. क्या हुआ आपके दोस्त के साथ वहाँ पे?
मेरा दोस्त मेरा पैसा लगाया.
आप वहाँ पे कैसे गिरे आपके?
नहीं, मैं टीवी में देख रहा था. मैं पैसा लगाया उन्हें. पैसा लगा रहे बाद में कितना 1 लाख रुपए लगाया.
वो गिरे वहाँ से वो?
गिरा बोलो तो ऐसा इंजॉय करके गिर गया।
बहुत भीड़ था उधर।
बहुत कोई ये था।
What he says is there was a lot of chaos there, and his friend fell and hurt himself. He's currently getting treated inside. And I also spoke with many people who are grieving right now and have their families inside. It's ghastly indeed what is happening here.
All right, let's just go quickly back to Deepak at this stage. Deepak, there's a lot of action happening behind you. Can you tell us what you're seeing? Are there more injured people being brought in? What exactly is taking place?
At the Vaidehi hospital, we've seen a beeline of politicians over the last couple of hours. We've seen the Chief Minister himself make his way here. Now we have the leader of the opposition, R. Ashok, another family member here who's absolutely distraught. These are emotional scenes once again. He was here earlier. He was talking about how he just needs the mortal remains of his young 22-year-old son. Now once again weeping before the cameras and saying, we do not want this to continue. They just want the mortal remains to be handed over. He's completely uncontrollable right now, and one can imagine how the situation has been for the family over the last a few hours. Right now, of course, we do not want to really ask any questions to the family members, considering the kind of emotional trauma that they're going through. It has been very difficult for them, as you would expect. They've lost a loved one, that too a young child. Most of the people who've lost their lives in this tragedy are youngsters. Some of them in college, some of them, going to work. They were there to celebrate their favorite team. They were there to celebrate that win that came after 18 years. Little did they know that such a tragedy would unfold. Now, there is more clarity really coming in as to what really happened at that gate. There was initially an announcement that tickets need to be bought, but people were struggling to get these tickets while thousands had already gathered. There was an announcement, I'm told, that was made that people would be allowed to enter for free. The gates began to be opened slowly, but the crowds were so massive that there was a lot of pushing and pulling that was happening at that location. And I have some videos that we'll of course put out for our viewers in a short while from now, where they're trying to open the gate, create a small gap through which people can come in, but right at the hind side of the gate, there were thousands of them trying to make their way into the Chinnaswamy Stadium because there was an event that was being planned there. That was when the stampede happened. Some of the barricades fell down, people below the barricade, people getting stepped on. Immediately, of course, the police tried to defuse that situation, but we've already seen what has happened after that. 11 people tragically losing their lives. The doctors tell me that when they were brought here, there was no sign of life. They did everything to really, in terms of whatever medical options that they had, they explored all of them, but to no avail.
All right. Veera Raghav, let me come back to you. What I found most shocking was the statement that there were 2 to 3 lakh people who showed up when the Chinnaswamy can host only 35,000 odd people. Where was the state police? Where was the state intelligence? How could there have been a failure at this colossal level?
Well, you need to go back into how this whole thing unfolded there, Vishnu. I think that's the real key question. Was there a hurry to organize an event of this nature? Because the match ends last night, no one knew about what plans were going to play out today. And then suddenly you were told that there was going to be a victory parade. The police were in a frantic hurry. You had an event at the Vidhan Sauda, and then you had, for which about 1 lakh of people came, and then you were supposed to go through on a victory parade. So most people were not aware that the victory parade was cancelled and that the event was going to be at Chinnaswamy Stadium. And there was very little police presence outside Chinnaswamy Stadium, not even a traffic diversionary order at that time, because when I was there from 2 to about 5 o'clock, there were buses that were stuck in the middle of the entire crowd. The crowds just started taking over that road. It's an arterial road in Bengaluru, if you know the city. On the one side, Cubbon Park, on the other side, Chinnaswamy Stadium. And what Deepak was pointing out, the gates was what everyone was trying to get at. The ones closest to the gates. And there was a barricading that was there to sort of create a queue and not allow people to come out on the roads. But people were all over the place. And when you open the gates, that's when a stampede happens. This is not new. This is the same in every such incident, whether it is a movie release or whether it is a cricket match. When you open that gate small, then the whole crowd tries to push it. And I assume that's exactly what happened here. The stronger got through, the weaker got mauled in it. And as you were pointing out, when it comes to a stampede of this nature, the crowds that were building out at about 2:30, one got a sense that this was getting a little out of control. Fortunately, they didn't have that victory parade. Had that played out, it could have been much worse. The entire road was obviously completely jammed. So there are 2-3 very important questions, Vishnu. One is, was there a hurry to organize the event? Was there a FOMO, as they call it, of missing out on the euphoria? Were 2 events necessary? Because the police force is highly stretched. At the Vidhan Sabha, you got 1 lakh people, and then you have to immediately have an event at the Chinnaswamy Stadium. It would have been a nightmare for the police force. 4, and I think this is an extremely important one, should the celebrations have gone on, because the tragedy and the news of it started flowing out around 6 o'clock. Should the celebrations have gone on? Should there have been remorse and cancelling? Well, these are all multiple questions that
but Veera, let's
can
just
raise
take that
tonight,
last,
but
just
no
for the
answers.
benefit of our viewers, Veera. All right, Veera, I'll come back to you. Deepak, go ahead.
People injured. You met the families of those who are injured. Of course, we heard some of them. They're completely emotional right now. The Chief Minister saying, let the BJP do politics, we'll do our work. What do you have to say?
We don't want politics. BJP told to CM, you done the celebration. We are not told any, you do celebration. Why are you blaming me? You came to a hospital. Just 2 minutes. You went away. I am from last 1 hour I am in the hospital. They want dead bodies. You are not given my son life. You give me early dead body. They are asking, they are crying from last
I heard
1 hour.
One of the family members were saying, please hand over the body as soon as possible.
What you done? I called all the DCs, DGP, Salim, and Dean of Medical College. I telephone. Immediately you have to do. Immediately give the at least body. You are not give the life. At least you give the body. This is the shame to the Congress
the Chief
party.
Minister, while he had a press conference, also said that they didn't expect the kind of crowds that turned up. They thought that 35,000 is a capacity, a little over can come up, but they didn't really expect the kind of crowds that actually came in.
You don't know anything means. Why are you a CM, become the CM? You are not expecting, you are not expected crowd. How you become the CM?
Another thing I want to ask is the Chief Minister also said that he does not want to bring politics into it. He does not want to compare other stampedes. He talks about the Kumbh stampede. He says there 50 to 60 people as well died, but he does not want to draw parallels here. And he says stampedes happen as well.
We don't expect from the CM. Bombay happen, celebration. Any death happen? In Calcutta, celebration last year.
What could have been done better according to you?
Sure. Let us tomorrow 11 o'clock. What is your promenade? You do tomorrow 11 o'clock. The players come. They will take rest. Morning 11 o'clock. Make the arrangement, security, everything. Why 2 programs you done?
One of the reactions that came in is that some of the players were not available. Some of the foreign players were flying away from the country, and that's why they had to do it today.
No, that is the reason. That is they are telling. Now they are telling coming Bengaluru now. They are staying in Bengaluru now. What happens to tomorrow?
Well, thank
So,
you.
I say okay, anything. Players not available, anything. At least arrangement, you do arrangement. What is the problem doing the arrangement? No police. Every police in the Vidhan Sabha. No police in the street. It is not failure of the police. It is not police of the officials. It is a failure of the government. You made the mistake. This is the murder of this government. This is the government is the responsible of this death. They are the death. They want a celebration credit? Yes? You want the celebration credit? Take this also. Take the responsibility of this. You take it. I demand you take it.
Well, that was the leader of the opposition, Mr. R. Ashok. Very strong worded statement coming in from Mr. R. Ashok about what the Chief Minister had to say, about what the demands are. He's saying, well, they wanted to take credit. for the celebrations. Now let them take credit, or rather let them take the responsibility for the lives that have been lost, and also saying that arrangements were not made, talking about how police were all deployed around the Vidhan Saudar, nobody there around the Chinnaswamy Stadium, various other aspects that he touched on.
All right, Deepak, just be with us. We've got some new footage which is coming in now of the stampede as it took place. Let's run these images. You have an idea of the crowds over here, people jostling for space over there, the situation getting progressively out of control. The most startling statistic, the most startling number in all of this is that up to between 2 and 3 lakh people had assembled. The police, the authorities seem to have no idea of that. You can see people collapsing over here in the midst of these crowds. 11 people at least have lost their lives. 47 people have been injured. But the number of those with injuries, perhaps even severe, maybe significantly more than that. At this juncture, however, of the 47, what I'm now told, who are injured, we are told that they are all right, by and large. But this is new footage coming in of people who've been crushed in the stampede, and desperate efforts to try and lift them, pat them, try and get them up over here. This is a situation which was meant to be a celebration. It's turned into this horrific tragedy, one of the worst that we've seen in recent times when it comes to stampedes, something which unfortunately in our country keeps happening over and over again. Yes, this is a colossal failure of the administration in being unable to understand the extent of the crowds which would be present. It is certainly a colossal failure of the administration and not having enough security personnel deployed. We will talk about all of that in a little while from now. I'm joined by Prashant JS, the spokesperson of the BJP, Prakash Singh, former Director General of Police, Tehseen Poonawala with us, Professor Sanjal Shastri at Flame University, and the great Farooq Engineer, the former India cricketer. Farooq bhai, let me come to you first. We were meant to have a discussion today where we were celebrating cricket, we were celebrating, the victorious RCB. We were meant to sort of celebrate Virat Kohli as well. Unfortunately, we are talking about a ghastly, ghastly situation. Your thoughts at this tragedy that's taken place? Farooq Saab.
Well, Vishnu, we've done some very happy interviews in the past. But this is a very, very, very sad and disappointed Farooq Engineer addressing thousands of miles away I am. We're not here to play a blame game. But first and foremost, my heartfelt condolences to all the bereaved parents. It was so sad to see. I'm a parent myself. To see your young child or your daughter trampled to death or something, it's a shocking thing. And even more shocking was to hear the celebrations were still going on in spite of all this. We are a cricket frenzied nation. Cricket is a religion in our country. As an ex-Indian cricketer, I'm hugely proud of that. But where there's frenzy, there's crowds. And unfortunately, someone has to be accountable for this, because the celebration that turned into a tragedy may possibly be, better controlled in my mind. They came only to cheer for their heroes, and some of them lost their lives, sadly lost their lives, women and children. I mean, I'm in tears thousands of miles away, and my heart bleeds for everyone here. Such a tragedy, because cricket is a game that's meant to be enjoyed. I mean, they enjoyed RCB winning after so many years. It was wonderful. Congratulations to them. But did anyone envisage, lakhs of people turning up in a stadium where the capacity was only about 30,000? I don't know. Many questions have to be asked, and someone has to be held accountable. But as I'm saying, I'm not here to play a political game. It's just a sad day for Indian cricket, and I'm deeply, deeply saddened by it all.
The president has just tweeted. She says the loss of lives in the tragic happening at a stadium in Bengaluru is shocking and heartbreaking. My condolences to the bereaved families and prayers for the speedy recovery of the injured. Let me go across to Mr. Prakash Singh. Sir, dealing with massive crowds is nothing new in India. It's the job of the police, it's the job of the administration to figure out something like this. And if it's too big to handle, then you ensure that it doesn't handle. Is it not surprising that now in 2025, after so many stampedes and tragedies, this sort of thing keeps going on? It just shows a desperate failure of the administration. I mean, that's my reading. What do you think, sir?
Well, Vishnu, I think the government and the police At both the levels, there has been complete mismanagement of the victory celebrations. It's not that we don't know how to manage such crowds. In fact, we have managed much bigger crowds during the Kumbh Mela. You would recall on weekdays, we had crowds of up to 4 crores, not 3 lakhs, but 4 crores or 5 crores. That is the kind of crowd we managed, and without any major event, the bathing festival went on. But here they could not manage. Now, firstly, it seems there was no clarity about the kind of program they are going to have, which is very strange. Yeah, but whether they are going, whether they will have it at the Chinnaswamy Stadium or at the Vidhan Sauda, this kind of confusion should not have been there. Secondly, once it was decided that there will be celebration at the Chinnaswamy Stadium, I think arrangements should have been in place. And the chief minister to say that we didn't have enough time to prepare, that is not acceptable either at the government level or at the police level. Once you decide, you have to have enough manpower. Enough manpower was not there. Then one of the very basic principles of crowd management is access control. If the stadium has a capacity for only 35,000 people, once the stadium was filled, I think all roads leading to the stadium should have, there should have been checkpoints where the inflow of crowd should have been stopped instead of the entire crowd of 2 lakh being allowed to come to the stadium and then trying to jostle their way and push their way into the stadium. The basic principle of access control was not exercised. Then it seems the regulatory orders were not in place. Everything was done in a very ad hoc manner, and therefore the systems just collapsed. And there was no evacuation plan. There was no emergency protocol. I saw on the TV screen the ambulance there was no passage for the ambulance. With great difficulty it could steer its way to evacuate the dead and injured. So it was a completely mismanaged show by the government and the police. And there can be no justification for this kind of thing. The Indian police know very well the art of crowd management. But here, I think there has been a lot of confusion about the decision at the decision-making level, what will be held. There was no anticipation about the kind of crowd. There was no assessment about the crowd. You have drones these days, and the drones could have warned that people are sort of heading towards the stadium in large numbers through different routes. Those routes could have been blocked. So
I take your point, sir. It's just unbelievable how things spiraled out of control. Tehseen Poonawalla, I know you aren't affiliated with the Congress party. The reason I say so is because there is nobody from the Congress over here because they chose not to be part of this particular program, presumably other television programs. Isn't that a huge disappointment when there is accountability, when there are people who want to ask questions? There's nobody from the Congress to answer them.
Vishnu, at the onset, I want to extend my condolences to the family members of those who've lost their lives and to everyone who's injured. I wish them a speedy recovery. I agree that this shouldn't have happened, and what a celebration turned into a tragedy. Today is not a day to do politics. I was on NDTV even when the Stampede at the Mahakumbh happened. Mr. Prakash Singh may not remember this, but there was a Stampede and on the same day flowers were showered. And I didn't do politics then, I will not do politics now. Let me just put 3 or 4 things across. In the last 1 year, Vishnu, your opening remarks have been honestly a slap in the face. India's seen multiple tragedies of Stampedes, be it in Uttar Pradesh in 2 events, be it in Telangana, here in Bengaluru and other such places. And I think that there has to be now a national protocol set in place of how crowd management happens. I do agree with Mr. Singh. With the advent of drones, AI technology, we can close off routes. There are better management systems that could be put in. No police, no officers would want a tragedy of this sort. I do hope what the Honorable Chief Minister said, he's not shirked responsibility, he's come in the front. He said a magistrate inquiry in 15 days. I believe the organizers there should be an FIR, they should be looked at and they should be punished. Accountability must be set, no if, no but. We cannot be a nation that allows our people and lives to be lost this way, be it in any part of the state. And I hope that those political parties that are today acting like vultures will actually come down and help, because these are the same language they used when I was on NDTV about the Kumbh tragedy, where I said, no, we should stay and help. I hope today they do not do politics.
Prashant GS, the question that Tehseen asks is it a time to do politics? How would you respond to that?
Krishna, firstly, condolences to the family members of the deceased. And this is a very unfortunate event. But now, if anybody, either from Congress or a Congress supporter now tries to link it to what has happened in the past, saying that this happened, therefore this is justified, this is again even inhumane to justify this action because something else has happened in the past elsewhere. So therefore, now this is complete mismanagement on part of the government. Who organized the event in Vidhan Sauda? Did the RCB management request Sidramaya and Shivkumar saying we are coming, please felicitate us in Vidhan Sauda? No, it was a government protocol. Government said you come here, and they were there. And then who allowed more people onto the roads? And I think NDTV was also one of the channels which was reporting continuously from the morning, especially after 1 p.m., 2 p.m., saying that how the crowds have swelled up in and around the stadium, which means even a bystander will realize that there are at least 5 times more number of people on the road than the stadium can accommodate. No measures were taken by the police to barricade. People knew the routes were publicized, so they will come from HAL airport to Vidhan Sauda. There was no barricading. The routes in and around the stadium were not barricaded. People have taken longer hours to reach. That's one thing. But look at the tragedy and the loss of life. Who's responsible now? Is it government? And who, first of all, gave the permission to host this event? Who's taken the permission? Those questions have been answered. And the buck stops with the CM, the DCM, and the Home Minister, because the DCM is the Bangalore in charge minister. And if they're claiming that they estimated only 5,000 people to come, like the DCM has said on one of the channels, it's again intelligence failure. When the media has reported continuously that there were more than 1 lakh people in and around the stadium, to say that only 5,000 were expected is a grossly incorrect statement being made only to fulfill their ego, because they knew the stampede had happened. The celebrations continued inside. I'm sure the players have not been informed that such a tragedy has struck and people have lost lives, or else the players would have walked out of the felicitation themselves, because no player, how much ever bigger the victory they have achieved, they will not want to celebrate on the deathbed of their fans. I'm sure Farooq Engineer will agree with me on this, saying that no cricket player would want to celebrate when a fan has died. And without informing the players, you continue to felicitate them. The photo op was required for the Congress. We will not be out of place to say this is state-sponsored murder of the cricket-loving public in India. And this is not an understatement. This statement can be taken on record that this is state-sponsored. All these inquiries can go on, but the loss of life cannot be compensated. Especially youngsters have lost their life. Children have
it's
lost
shocking.
their life.
1 second.
Who's responsible for
Let me
that?
go across to Professor Shastri as well, who's been waiting. I'll come back to you. Professor Shastri, one of the points that Prashant GS was mentioning is that who organized this? How did they organize it? In what manner did they organize it? Were people informed about what exactly was expected? The organizers have a lot to explain as well, right? The Karnataka Cricket Association has a great deal to explain. Should we not be looking at them as well?
Yes, of course, Vishnu. I think the KSCA, the state administration, the police, I think, because I myself was following this event very closely, and since morning, there was no real clarity of what's going to happen. Early morning, there was a tweet saying we are going to have an open top parade from Vidhan Sauda to, but then more details awaited. So there was absolutely no clarity of how, what's going to happen, what's the plan. And I think this lack of information is very dangerous in such situations where large number of people gather. The second point, I think I was following what a lot of statements from officials, the government officials said that we expected a crowd of 30 to 40,000 to come. That capacity of stadium was 35,000 and we expected 35 to 50,000 to come. Anyone who follows cricket, anyone who follows this franchise will know that the kind of craze this franchise has, the kind of support base it has, the moment you say there's going to be an open house at Chinnaswamy Stadium, you should have expected this. So I'm quite surprised that the fact that 3 lakh people turned up itself was a surprise. So there should have been careful planning. And I think a lot of what has been said last couple of hours, that why the hurry to host this? You could have taken a day or two to plan out and have the authorities sort of, chalk out a proper plan and then organize this event. So I think at multiple levels, questions need to be answered. towards the KSCA, towards the Karnataka government, towards the administration. So I think there are multiple questions, multiple people need to answer tonight.
All right. I'm just going to play out what my colleague Veera Raghav sent a little while back, describing the situation and this, and what the state government is saying at this stage. Let's listen in.
Chief Minister Siddaramaiah there facing some tough questions at the press conference, of course, giving out information that the stadium event was organized by the Cricket Association. There were a huge crowd in Vidhan Sabha. Even they did not anticipate the kind of response that they got. But at the stadium, there was complete chaos. He was saying that the casualties happened when some fans tried to break through the gates of the stadium, and that's when chaos ensued. But then, as a judicial inquiry, as a magistrate inquiry goes on and compensation released, there are serious questions to be raised. The first and the most important, was there a hurry to organize the event, given that it happened only last time and there is a frenzy that one should anticipate when it comes to cricket, RCB, they know the kind of emotion that plays out. Was there a hurry to organize the event in such haste the next day itself without giving enough time to the authorities to prepare or plan for such an event? Because remember, until about 4 o'clock, there were not even traffic diversions that was there. Though there were warnings that was there, several buses were stuck in those crowds outside the Chinnaswamy Stadium. The other key question, was there two events necessary? One at Vidhan Sabha and one in quick succession at the Chinnaswamy Stadium, because the police force is also overstretched and they had to shift from here to there. The Vidhan Sabha event was perhaps better organized, but at Chinnaswamy Stadium, there was very, very little presence of police force before all this played out. The crowds had even come out on the roads with traffic stuck all over the place. Was the stadium event planned badly? That's another key question. Was too much force at the Vidhan Sabha and not at the stadium is another question that we should be raising. The Cricket Association in charge of that event, says the Chief Minister, one has to find out who is responsible for it. In all, after all of this, one final question would also be about fans themselves when they saw that kind of huge crowds. Is a frenzy really worth going through that kind of crowds, which did seem dangerous, which did seem hugely packed outside Chinnaswamy Stadium? So multiple questions, perhaps no answers this evening. Just a sad note at the loss of lives. A day that began with dancing and celebrations for us turned very, very swiftly into one of sadness and tragedy.
All right, what I'd like to do at this stage is just go back to full-frame imagery and videos, including some of the latest images which have been coming in, where we can actually tell our viewers and showcase what has taken place. It is a horrific tragedy in Bengaluru, where 11 people have lost their lives. The frenzied celebration over the RCB winning the Indian Premier League of Cricket after 18 years took this tragic turn, with at least 11 people feared dead in stampedes at two locations. The chaos began after a crowd gathered near M Chinnaswamy Stadium for a felicitation of the team held by the Karnataka State Cricket Association. 2 of the 11 people died during another frenzied crush on the premises of the Vidhan Sabha, where the RCB squad proceeded from the airport to meet Chief Minister Siddaramaiah. Visuals showed the police shifting the injured and unconscious people to a nearby hospital. Many people who came to watch the celebrations fainted amidst the stampede. This is what eyewitnesses have said. The Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar said, "The crowd was uncontrollable. I apologize for the overcrowding." He said, "We arranged more than 5,000 personnel. This is a young, vibrant crowd. We can't use a lathi on them." In fact, in some places we did see the police being quite aggressive, but the situation had clearly gone out of hand, out of control. All right, I'd like to go back. Do we have Harish Bijur with us? Okay, we don't have Harish with us. Farooq Engineer, I'll come back to you for final comments as we look at all of this. Throughout your career, Farooq Saab, you would have encountered massive crowds in the 60s and the 70s. There has often been incidents of violence and arson in Indian cricket stadiums. I remember in Eden Garden in the late 60s or early 70s, there was a horrific incident. But, I mean, it's awful when something like this happens. The passion of cricket is something that runs our country, but it requires a great deal of management to control. And that's
I remember
clearly
it
something
really
that's
well
never
at Eden
happened.
Gardens.
Yeah, go ahead. You were playing in that test match.
I also remember that I had my pads on. I was batting in West Hall, bowling in the machiras, as you call them, the stands that were built above the stands. I mean, there were more tickets sold than the capacity. There was 100,000 in the stadium, another 100,000 trying to get in. With the result, you're going to get problems. My vivid imagination of Wes Hall and Charlie Griffith running from the two gaps while we were all being taken to the hotel in our coach. And I saw these two guys running like slaves, literally, with thousands of people behind them, just trying to, not to hurt them, but just to touch them or just have a closer look at them. And I told the coach driver, just go near them, and we picked them up. I said, Wes, where are you going? He said, I'm going to Dum Dum Airport. They were so sort of, sorry to bring a bit of a light-hearted thing, and such a horrendous day for Indian cricket. I mean, I'm deeply, deeply, deeply saddened. And once again, my heartfelt sympathies to just see the parents there crying. I'm not here to play political blaming who is who and all that, but something better could have been done, better could have been organized. Maybe the celebrations could have been delayed a bit. Maybe the police should have had more time to make more arrangements. I mean, there are several questions being asked today. Several questions will be asked, and several questions ought to be asked, because we don't want another tragedy like that. And we don't want the wonderful name of cricket to be tarnished in the international world. We are a proud nation. We Indians love our cricket and are extremely proud of it. And we don't want the wonderful name of cricket to be tarnished with such a tragedy. And it is a tragedy.
Right.
You see young boys and girls trampled, the stronger people were, but if the celebrations went on in spite of the tragedies, and if the players knew, certainly they should have cut.
All right, Farooq Saab, just 1 second. The Royal Challengers Bengaluru have released a statement just now. I'm reading that. We are deeply anguished by the unfortunate incidents that have come to light through media reports regarding public gatherings all over Bengaluru in anticipation of the team's arrival this afternoon. So it's interesting that they say this. They say that through media reports that they've found out, they weren't aware themselves of what was happening around the city. Clearly these were cricketers who have no part in this. They've come to celebrate, but somebody else has to handle that situation. I'm going to keep reading the statement. The safety and well-being of everyone is of utmost importance to us. RCB mourns the tragic loss of lives and extends our heartfelt condolences to the affected families. Immediately upon being made aware of the situation, we promptly amended our program and followed the guidance and administration of the local administration. We urge all our supporters to please stay safe, is what this statement has said. So they did bring an end to their program. They were clearly not aware of the crazy crowds.
Well, that's great. That's great news to know from an ex-cricketer's point of view, because no cricketer wants to see, lives, being threatened or physical injuries to people. No cricketer wants to see that. They want to join in the celebrations with the fans. And I, as an ex-cricketer, am extremely proud to have heard that statement. It's wonderful news that. Some consolation to the families of the bereaved.
Professor Shastri, one of the things that will follow very soon, there will be magisterial inquiries and then judicial, probes, and then there'll be perhaps the CBI which is called in, this, that, and the other. There'll be a few heads that will roll. Is it not a fact almost in our country? We've been seeing this for decades, and for whatever the reasons are, stampedes keep happening, whether it's callousness, indifference, call it what you want. This is something which is a reality in our country. Over and over again, these things happen, and somehow, systemically, we aren't able to prevent this.
I think we need, it calls for greater awareness about crowd management. And I think that's a point that was brought in on the panel by, I think, Tehseen, that we need to have a broader national strategy on how to deal with large crowds. And especially, Vishnu, in the case of Bangalore, the gates opposite Cubbon Park, I think it is a very narrow passage. And every year when you have the IPL or when you have any other cricket match, even handling 40,000 people is a challenge because of the sheer space constraint that the passage. So these are certain questions in the longer term. We need to take a call at one in Bangalore at how can this stadium, given it's located right next to an arterial road, the entrances inside that lead into the stadium can just handle 1 or 2 people at a time. So at the Bangalore level, we also need to take a call on how better to manage crowds. And as was mentioned on the panel, at a larger national level, we need to have a better strategy on how to deal with crowds. I think that's something we really need to get our heads together and really think about.
Vishnu?
All right.
Vishnu, may I?
Yes, Tessin, go ahead briefly. Yes.
No, so like I said earlier in the earlier segment, that we do need a national policy on crowd management, which should be SOP set up by the union government or the union home ministry, as may be, without politics, which have to mandated be followed. And then, as the earlier panelist said, at a local level, they can be tweaked based on local geography, local sensitivities, etc., etc., etc. But, there is also one more thing we need to look at. And I'm very glad that RCB put out the statement. In the case of the Stampede in Hyderabad, if you remember, where an actor was involved, and I was sort of got in touch with the government. Do you know, Vishnu, that a local DCP had to go and ask the actor to leave the theater, and when the police had actually gone to the actor to ask him to leave the theater when the stampede happened, the actor and his bouncers refused to allow the police inside. So this is something that we have to reflect within ourselves, that people's lives are the most important. So I'm glad that in this particular case, in 10 minutes, it was called off, 15 minutes, RCB is also being responsible. But I think that the buck has to stop somewhere, number one. Number two, we must mandate use of technology. Technology is what will save lives. Ultimately, AI-powered drones, we have information must reach in real time. That must be communicated to people. Roads should work on technology. Unless we don't use technology, how are we going to move forward? If we are in an India that can send the Chandrayaan to the moon, and we're so proud of it, let's integrate technology in our daily lives. That is the only solution.
All right, well, we're going to take a short break, coming back with the very latest, many more reactions coming in. I'll read out that RCB reaction as well in the next few minutes. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. The frenzied celebration in Bengaluru over the RCB's winning the IPL after 18 years took a tragic event. At least 11 people have been killed in stampedes at 2 locations. The chaos began after a huge crowd gathered near the M Chinnaswamy Stadium. Some estimates are that there were more than 2 to 3 lakh people. There were between 2 and 3 lakh people trying to get into a stadium with approximately 35,000 people, 35,000 capacity. Now, in just the last little while, what we do have is a statement from the Royal Challengers Bengaluru, who say, and I quote, "We are deeply anguished by the unfortunate incidents that have come to light through media reports regarding public gatherings all over Bengaluru in anticipation of the team's arrival this afternoon. The safety and well-being of everyone is of utmost importance to us. The RCB mourns the tragic loss of lives and extends our heartfelt condolences to affected families. Immediately upon being made aware of the situation, we promptly amended our program and followed the guidance and advice of the local administration. We urge all our supporters to please stay safe," is what the statement says. Now, we've got reactions from the President as well, who has said the loss of lives and the tragic happening at a stadium in Bengaluru is shocking and is heartbreaking. My condolences to the bereaved families and prayers for the speedy recovery of the injured. In all of this, there are a couple of important questions which need to be asked. The first and perhaps most significant of them is that was there a hurry to organize? Secondly, where was the intelligence? I would in fact say this is the most important point. Where was the intelligence? Where was the police? Why was the administration sleeping? How can you not know as a state government that there is an event which has taken place which is enough to get 3 lakh people to try and get to this main stadium, the Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru? How has there been a failure of this size? Important questions have been raised by retired police officials on this program, saying, why were access routes not cut off earlier on? Why weren't drones employed in large numbers for the police, the administration, to get an idea of the number of people over there. Why was there not an adequate deployment? Right? Why is it that we know how to deal with crowds in some places, the Kumbh Mela, elsewhere, by and large, not always, and that we deploy forces at strength, but over here just 5,000 for a crowd of 3 lakh people? There was no hope whatsoever. The situation in hospitals is increasingly desperate. My colleague Deepak Bopanna, who's been reporting throughout the morning, sent us this report.
Just one question that I want to ask you. As we continue to look at 11 people now confirmed dead by the Chief Minister himself, multiple people injured. You met the families of those who are injured. You know, of course, we heard some of them. They're completely emotional right now. The Chief Minister saying, let the BJP do politics, we'll do our work. What do you have to say?
We don't want politics. BJP told to CM, you done the celebration. We are not told any, you do celebration. Why are you blaming me? You came to a hospital, just 2 minutes, you went away. I am from last 1 hour, I am in the hospital. They want dead bodies. You are not given my son life. You give me early dead body. They are asking, they are crying from last 1 hour.
I heard one of the family members were saying, please hand over the body as soon as possible.
What you done? I called all the DCs, DGP, Salim, and Dean of Medical College. I telephone. Immediately you have to do. Immediately give the at least body. You are not give the life. At least you give the body. This is the shame to the Congress
Chief
party.
Minister, while he had a press conference, also said that they didn't expect the kind of crowds that turned up. They thought that 35,000 is the capacity. A little over can come up, but they didn't really expect the kind of crowds that actually came in.
You know, you don't know anything means. Why are you a CM, become the CM? You are not expecting, you are not expected crowd. How you become the CM?
Another thing I want to ask is the Chief Minister also said that he does not want to bring politics into it. He does not want to compare other stampedes. He talks about the Kumbh stampede. He says there 50 to 60 people as well died, but he does not want to draw parallels here. And he says stampedes happen.
We don't expect from the CM. Bombay happen, celebration. Any death happen? In Calcutta, celebration last year.
What could have been done better according to you?
Sure. Let us tomorrow 11 o'clock. What is your problem? You do tomorrow 11 o'clock. The players come, they will take rest. Morning 11 o'clock, make the arrangement, security, everything. Why 2 programs you done?
One of the reactions that came in is that some of the players were not available. Some of the foreign players were flying away from the country, and that's why they had to do it today.
No, that is the reason. That is they are telling. Now they are telling, coming to Bengaluru now. They are staying in Bengaluru now. What happens to tomorrow?
Well, thank you.
So, I say okay, anything. Players not available, anything. At least arrangement, you do arrangement. What is the problem doing the arrangement? No police. Every police in the Vidhan Sauda. No police in the street. It is not failure of the police. It is not police of the officials. It is a failure of the government. You made the mistake. This is the murder of this government. This is the government is the responsible of this death. They are the death. They want a celebration credit. Yes, you want the celebration credit. Take this also. Take the responsibility of this. You take it. I demand you take it.
Well, that was the leader of the opposition, Mr. R. Ashok. Very strong worded statement coming in from Mr. R. Ashok about what the Chief Minister had to say, about what the demands are. He's saying, well, they wanted to take credit for the celebrations. Now let them take credit, or rather let them take the responsibility for the lives that have been lost. And also saying that arrangements were not made, talking about how police were all deployed around the Vidhan Sauda, nobody there around the Chinnaswamy Stadium, various other aspects that he touched on upon.
All right, we're going to take a short break. Keep tracking this story, a horrific story out of Bengaluru. 11 people killed in a stampede, a couple of them as a result of celebrations in Bengaluru over the RCB winning the Indian Premier League of cricket. Take a short break, be back with more.